trying to tighten up out in front. And Saka got a touch on that one. Shea's stick deflected that away, and that was a beneficial break for Carolina as they're able to clear.
Well, welcome to the Canes Corner podcast. Hi, everyone. I am Adam Gold, and thank you very much for spending some time home away from home in Phoenix, Arizona, as the Carolina Hurricanes are still playing, even though I asked them to wait till I get back. There will be a game when I get back. It'll be Sunday at PNC Arena against the Columbus Blue Jackets, but I'm going to be here with the Wolfpack through Saturday, even though the Wolfpack will still be playing on Monday. But it's all good. We're going to go home and we're going to get to the home finale against Columbus on Sunday. All right, we're going to do a bunch of things here. May not be here as long as we normally would be, although we're never really longer than a half hour. And I don't think we're going to be too much shorter than that anyway. But we're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hanner's crew do a great job, and you should check them out for all of your exterior home improvement needs. So, that first period. Woo! Oh, man. All right, I want to point out a few things that I saw in the first period. First of all, I thought Carolina was good for the first 2 minutes. And then the one stretch pass, Morgan Geekie to Brad Marchand for the first goal. Freddie actually made the save. The goal isn't scored with Marchand's stick. It's scored because of the contact between Marchand and Anderson, but the contact caused by Brent Burns. And because of that, no reason to challenge because you're not going to win that challenge. And I know Rod Brindamore has hesitated to challenge those calls anyway, because as he told me prior to a game about 2 weeks ago, when have we ever won them? I will agree that goaltender interference has not been Carolina's friend both ways. Goals called off that probably shouldn't have been called off, and goals allowed that maybe shouldn't have been allowed. And it really is beauty in the eye. And I get it. I get why, you would think that this has never worked in Carolina's favor. Don't really have anything to say other than heavy sigh. But probably a wise no challenge there, because Burns' sick looks like it might have upended Marchand. It's not a lot. I don't think Brent Burns is that strong, and I don't think Brad Marchand is that weak. I think it's more than anything else. I think Marchand was probably trying to avoid Anderson, and because he was trying to avoid Anderson, I assume he's trying to avoid Anderson. There's no reason for Marchand to skate into the goalie. I think he just really lost an edge as much as anything else. But he goes down. Burns' stick is there, and Rod Brindamore made a calculated decision that one goal shouldn't beat us. Not going to challenge that and put Boston on the power play, which, judging Carolina's penalty kill, maybe you should have done that all night. It was the best thing Carolina did tonight. But that was just that kind of really wasn't a mess up. I mean, sort of a mess up. Brent Burns probably should have been a little bit more responsible there. He's not the only one. Jacob Slavin was on the ice too. But that was just really a great play by Boston. Sometimes other teams make great plays. But it was the rest of what we saw in the first period. And after that goal, whoa, baby, was that bad. So here's what I wrote down, and there were other chances than what I'm about to read. Carolina gave up 2 breakaways, an almost breakaway. By the way, the 2 breakaways were Brad Marchand. The almost breakaway was David Pastrnak. They allowed 2 different 2-on-1s that were both stopped. And they allowed Pastrnak to walk out of the corner with the puck, and nobody stopped him. That was all in the first period. Those plays produced 2 goals. Probably should have been more. Anderson played really well and gave up 3 goals in the first. It was a disastrous penalty or period from a defensive zone coverage standpoint. And we could go through all three goals. I really just want to do the third goal, the one that made it 3-0, was more misfortune than anything else. And misfortune coupled with a great deflection score, great deflection goal. Pavel Zacha and Pastrnak each whiffed on shot attempts, whiffed like a wrist shot, and just went right over the puck. It didn't go anywhere. But so what it did was it got Carolina out of position a little bit, and they just reset with the puck. And then Pastrnak ends up with the puck on the right side. It looks to me like he's passing it across to Charlie McAvoy, who is below the faceoff circle to the right of or to the left of Freddie Anderson if you're looking at the goal. And I think Danton Heinen just got his stick in there and chipped it over the blocker of Anderson for the third goal. I think it was, two bits of bad fortune and then a really good pass that might not have been to the guy who scored the goal. So chalk that one up to that's hockey. But the breakdown in coverage on the Pastrnak goal is, that just can't happen. So Pastrnak has the puck. Jarvis is there, and Jarvis thinks he's passing him off to Brent Burns, but Burns decided that he was going to mark Danton Heinen in the just to the left of the slot, and that's where Burns was. So here comes Pastrnak. Just, all right, you guys are going to let me shoot? He got within 5 feet of Anderson and then just roofed it. It's 2-0. That can't happen. And that's not a product of having not played for 4 days. That would simply be an excuse. By the way, Sebastian Aho said that. They asked in the locker room, is that a product of not playing for 4 days? And he goes, yeah, that would be an excuse. That's no good. That's a bad goal to allow. Not for Freddie, for the team. That is a really bad goal to allow because of how that happened. The first goal, that happens. The third goal, again, bad luck and a great play, or probably the best play by Heinen more than anything else. Because, again, I really believe that pass was all the way targeted to go to McAvoy all the way below the faceoff circle. And Gensel was actually in good position to deal with Heinen. I think the puck just got through. So to me, that was more of the third goal. But that second goal was really bad. And all the other things, all what I just read, all in there, that was bad. That's the stuff that can't happen. Because especially to a team like Boston, and when you're down 3-0 to the Bruins, it's like being down to the Lightning. They're just too good defensively. Too good defensively. There are other teams where you can come back on, but teams that are as sound, as well coached as they are, nope, you're not doing that. You're not coming back. And with all that said, Carolina got the 5-on-3 goal from Jake Gensel to make it 3-1. They had about 40 seconds of power play time after that, and they had a penalty at the end of the first period to get to 3-2. Just couldn't get the goal. And then maybe if you get a good start in the third period and make it 3-2 there, you get an empty net, the extra attacker goal. There's a lot of things. You can make it a one-shot hockey game. Carolina could never do that. And part of that is Boston was outstanding in front of Jeremy Swayman. Swayman was outstanding. Gensel had another opportunity. Too many times Carolina shot the puck low on Swayman, and some of it is you don't have time to elevate. But Swayman wasn't allowing anything at the bottom part of the net. You had to be high. You had to go high on Jeremy Swayman to score the goal. The only time Carolina did score, Swayman was laying down like he was a swimsuit model on a beach. He was literally laying on his side. He chose to stay there rather than scramble up because Carolina was on the 5-on-3. He chose to stay on his side and just laid there, hoping that Carolina would hit him with the puck. And they sort of did. Gensel hit him, but it kind of fluttered over and into the net. That made it 3-1. Wish Carolina could have gotten the second goal there, but they did not. Anyway, that's where you can't play the way Carolina played in the first period. Is that due to 4 days off? I mean, we could pretend it is. I mean, maybe, but I also think that Carolina just every once in a while has games like that, and certain players, forget about certain teams, certain players just will not let you off the hook. Pasternak isn't going to let you off the hook. Marchand isn't going to let you off the hook. Then you get a chip goal from Danton Heinen, and then that's just gravy. The lineup tonight. So Carolina, for the first time in, I don't know how long, a while it seems, had the full 14 healthy forward complement, which means tough decisions. Probably not that tough a decision, but still a hard decision to bring to the player. Brendan Lemieux was always going to be a healthy extra, and Jesperi Kotkaniemi drew out of the lineup. We've been saying it for a long time. Jack Drury had moved ahead. It came about 2.5 months ago where Drury kind of assumed the role of number 2 center at the time, and Drury has deserved to play, and it has nothing to do with the fight tonight. We can all assign whatever importance we want to about that fight. One of Carolina's most handsome players shouldn't be fighting as much as he is. He's also not a bruiser, although I give him a decision on the fight. It was close, split decision, but I give him a decision on the fight. But Jack had moved ahead of Jesperi, and end of discussion. Jesper Foss isn't coming out of the lineup for all the other things he does. Steph Nason, even though it's been a while since Steph Nason has scored a goal, it has been a minute. We'll tell you exactly how long it's been in a minute. But it has been a while since Steph Nason has scored. So he's not coming out of the lineup either. And it's Kotkaniemi, who doesn't factor in the penalty kill, who isn't one of Carolina's go-to scorers. It's an easy decision, I think, for Rod Brind'Amour to keep Kotkaniemi out of the lineup. So 82 comes out. Those are Carolina's forwards, and we'll get to how it lines up in a second. But even though I talked to Trip Tracy before the game tonight about the lineup, and he goes, I'm just going to say it's tonight's lineup. It's not what we're going to see in the future necessarily. I disagree. I think Rod was showing his hand. And barring injury, I'm not saying that Kotkaniemi won't play another game during the regular season. I can see him drawing back in to give somebody a rest if somebody has a knock, if you will. But I think Rod put his A team. I think he put his best 18 out on the ice tonight. And Kotkaniemi right now is the 13th best forward that they've got. And considering some of the things that Brendan Lemieux offers when he is in, you could argue that Lemieux would be ahead of him, given a set of circumstances. And again, Kotkaniemi it's been a while since he has been a really good player. It's been a while. I thought he had probably a good first month of the season, and since then, it hasn't been awesome. And by the way, since Steph Nason's last goal, he's gone 14 games without a goal right now. 14 games without a goal. But he's still more of a threat than Kotkaniemi has been of late. All right. Now, in terms of the lines, I don't think we're going to see Stahl, Svechnikov, and Teravainen together all that much longer. I think Rod, with 6 games left to play, maybe you get it tomorrow against the Capitals. Maybe you get it on Sunday against the Blue Jackets. But going on the road with the last 4 games, including that Tuesday game in Boston, which kind of does loom large if Rod is, if it's a goal, to try to get ahead of the Bruins. And I think Carolina would like to, and I think Carolina's got an edge in regulation wins if they can win that bonus game, that game in hand, and win the game Tuesday in Boston. Then I think then Carolina can do that. But I think we're going to start seeing Stahl, Martinook, and Foss together. There's no way to prove this, right? I think that line together gives Carolina more of an identity, and I think they play better as a group when that threesome is together. Now, the whole reason, and Rod said this to me before the game today, the whole reason that they're split up is not because of Stahl, Martinook, and Foss. It's because of other factors. It's about trying in some ways to make Kuznetsov and Necas not be so defensively porous. They were on the ice for one goal today. Kuznetsov and Necas, I believe it wasn't the third goal. It was the first goal. They were on the ice for the first goal. Don't know it was their fault, right? I don't think it was their fault that it was that they were on the ice for the first goal. The second goal was the only one I blame the players for, and that was a Jarvis Burns thing. But they have been, their metrics, when Svechnikov was playing with Kuznetsov and Necas, woof, that was no good. Now, you might have to roll with it because they should be dynamic offensively. But that's not generally the way Rod looks at it. But I think ultimately you're going to get Stahl, Martinook, and Foss together again. Aho, Gensel, and Jarvis are going to stay together, and they're going to figure out the other stuff. They were better with Teravainen, with Kuznetsov and Necas than they were with Svechnikov. But then are you taking your $7.75 million partial face of the franchise and playing him with Nason and Jack Drury? I would. I actually would. And I wonder if Rod will do that. Maybe as I lead into the next thing I want to talk about. My biggest takeaway from Rod Brindamore's postgame today was he's got to figure it out. Normally, Brindamore protects Svechnikov. That was not protecting Svechnikov. That was saying, yeah, we're all fed up with it. So here's the numbers for Andrei since the All-Star game. Now, remember, he missed a few games before the All-Star break and then missed one or two after the All-Star break when they came out of the break. So his 26 games played since then. He has 6 goals in 26 games. So what is 26 times 3? 78. It's almost a third of a season. 6 goals in 26 games. 3 of those goals are empty net goals. He's got 16 total points in the 26 games. And he's got 14 minor penalties. And I saw a number of people say that number's low. I think you've miscalculated. No, that's the right number. Here's the issue. 12 of those minor penalties have come in the last 14 games, which is why it seems like such a big number. He only committed 2 penalties in the first dozen of those games. But the offense has dried up for Andrei, and his defensive irresponsibility has ratcheted up in the last half of this stretch. And this is where Rod is like, he's got to figure it out. So while he's not going to bench Andrei, before anybody suggests healthy scratch him, it's not going to happen. It just won't happen. I've been covering this team extensively, exclusively since Rod Brindamore became the head coach. I actually go back a year before he became the head coach. So I've been covering this team for a long time now. I can only recall one time where Rod benched one of his top 6 forwards. And that was Martin Necas for about the last 8 minutes of a game in Florida. and this is the second year. I think it was the second year. Might have been the crazy pandemic central year. I don't know. He benched him. Yeah, I think it was because this triggered a huge run from Natchez. He benched Natchez for the last 8 minutes of a game in Florida, which Carolina ultimately got into overtime, and then Natchez scored the overtime winner. It's the only time Rod has benched one of his core players. So it's not going to happen. But I do think it's not out of the realm of possibility that you see Andrei playing in a fourth line role with Drury and Nason. Because I do believe we're going to see Fost play back with Stahl and Martinook. Because I think Rod ultimately is going to get back to that line. It's who they are. It has to be there in the playoffs. I think Rod would really he would regret not reuniting that line, especially when you go back and you look the impact that they have throughout the lineup because of the example they set. And don't worry about them not scoring. You know, Jordan Stahl didn't score with the opportunity that Svechnikov provided him, actually. It was in the first period where it could have been 3-1. Andrei makes maybe the best play he made all game, where backhand pass wraparound from the behind the goal across the goal. I mean, Stahl has the entire net. As I put on Twitter, at A Gold Fan, if you're interested, Stahl missed the ocean. I mean, he fell out of a boat and missed the water. It was hard to believe that. I mean, if the goalie isn't there, it's well wide of the net. He just basically shot it back across the front of the net. And the crazy thing is that Swayman came closer to making it a goal than Stahl did because Swayman didn't catch it cleanly. It went to the ice. Stahl almost had an opportunity to knock it in when the puck hit the ice. So when Rod said he's got to figure it out, that explains, I believe, just how upset Rod is with the way things have gone for Andrei. This is a long period of mediocre to poor play. And the double minor tonight was so avoidable. The first hit was fine. The check on McAvoy was fine. You didn't need the extra. And then the extra is a stick up high, and it's 4 minutes. Now, maybe smarter than you think, because Carolina was at their best tonight, shorthanded, which they have ultimately been all year. It's the best penalty kill in the game. When they do go bad, they go bad. When they go bad, they generally are now multiple goals in a game. Although they got to point that the last time they did it in Washington, they allowed 3 power play goals, lost in a shootout. But ultimately, their penalty kill, I mean, it saved them again tonight, even though it didn't save them because they got nothing out of the game. But 4 for 4 on the penalty kill. Just absolutely amazing. All right, so here's where we are with 6 games left in the season. Washington tomorrow on home ice. Columbus on Sunday, 5 o'clock game at PNC Arena. And then you're on the road for the Final Four. Boston, I think it's Boston, St. Louis, Chicago, Columbus is how Carolina finishes the season. St. Louis sort of still in a playoff race, but by the time Carolina gets there, maybe not. Obviously, Boston is, and so that's really the only playoff team that they've got left. Chicago and Columbus, I mean, theoretically, if Carolina feels like they need to win those games, they'll win them. Might not look beautiful, but they'll win them. But obviously, these games with Boston matter if you want to catch Boston and have home ice advantage over the Bruins if you happen to meet them in the Eastern Conference Finals. Just quickly looking ahead this is where I want to get to the standings in the Metropolitan Division, which is just absolutely amazing. With everything that has gone on, here's what the standings look like in the Metro. Right now, Philadelphia and the Islanders are tied. They each have 83 points. Philadelphia and the Islanders, they're tied. Each have 83 points with 6 games left to play. Philadelphia has 28 regulation wins. The Islanders have 25 regulation wins. So obviously advantage Philadelphia in that regard, which is why Philadelphia is still listed in third place in the Metro and the Islanders are in fourth. So Philadelphia 83 points, the Islanders 83 points. They're now in the wild card too. Washington 82 points, Pittsburgh 81 points. Washington has one more game to play than everybody else. So theoretically, the Capitals could move ahead of both the Islanders and the Flyers if Washington is able to win tomorrow at PNC Arena. So this is where Carolina can control Washington's fate a little bit here if the Hurricanes win that game, although there's going to be opportunities. So tomorrow, not only does Washington play at Carolina, Philadelphia is in Buffalo. Rangers are at Detroit. Reason I bring Detroit into this is because the Red Wings are sitting on 82 points with 75 games played. So they've got one extra game to play. Again, much like Washington, both on 82 points with 7 games left. So Detroit is still in the mix. Of course, the Red Wings have been in the bin of late. So they have to turn it around. Otherwise, they are just fading from playoff. Remember, we don't have to go back that long where Detroit looked like they were solid to make the playoffs, like legitimately solid, well ahead, closer to Tampa than they are to this pack of mediocre teams. Islanders, by the way, have picked it up again, started playing well, which is why they're now into a wild card spot with 6 games left to play. So that's tomorrow. Saturday, Tampa's at Pittsburgh. Big game. Lightning can catch Toronto. Lightning are just 2 points behind the Maple Leafs. And Toronto, by the way, will be playing on Saturday night at Montreal. Philadelphia is in Columbus. Nashville is playing at the New York Islanders. And again, Nashville's been one of the hottest teams in the Western Conference. Islanders trying to make a playoff spot. So there's a lot of really important games over the next 2 days. Sunday, Buffalo is at Detroit. And the Sabres aren't playing for much. Red Wings are. And Ottawa is in Washington. By the way, if you're interested in Florida and Boston play on Saturday as well. So just this weekend, I don't know if there's going to be movement, but there is opportunity for a lot of movement, a lot of leapfrogging over the next, 2.5, 3 days. So it should be interesting to watch the scoreboard. And none of this really impacts Carolina, except who Carolina might play in the first round of the playoffs. And right now, your choices are Philadelphia, Washington, the Islanders, and Pittsburgh. You might rather play them than Tampa. Just saying. If the Rangers, although it looks like the Rangers are going to win the Eastern Conference because they never lose. It is what it is. The Rangers have played just tremendous hockey. Some of that is Shesterkin. Some of that is the Rangers getting timely power play goals. Some of that is teams falling apart when they're playing. And you got to give credit to the Rangers, I guess. Much as it pains me to say that, because I do think Carolina is better than the Rangers. But I think the Rangers have played better, at least have had higher end of games. Carolina has, I think, done a great job without long winning streaks. Again, we have not seen the Hurricanes lose consecutive regulation games since December 12th. They have not lost 2 games in a row in regulation since December 12th. It is an incredible run of consistently good winning play. But that's where we are as we turn for home in the final 6 games of the regular season. See, I told you we'd get pretty close to 30 minutes anyway. All right, that'll do it for us. We're in Phoenix, where NC State will beat Purdue on Saturday night. We'll come to you tomorrow again after the Canes and the Caps. Hopefully Carolina will play a lot better in the first period and skate away with 2 points. For the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. Again, if it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it there. Go check them out at aluminumcompany.com. Sammy Henner's crew are amazing. You will absolutely thank me later. You'll thank them first, then you'll thank me. And remember, we're here after every Hurricanes game. Just search Canes Corner Podcast on YouTube. You can also find us wherever you get your podcast. You can subscribe, like, caress whatever buttons you have to caress gently, whisper sweet nothings in their little button ears, and it shows up automatically. You get notifications. Aren't notifications a great thing? I actually canceled a lot of notifications today, but that's neither here nor there and a completely different story. All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow after the Canes and the Caps. Thank you very much for spending some time with us, and we will see you next time on the Canes Corner Podcast.